Operations at the Kwenyaku water treatment plant resumes months after being shut down due to pollution from illegal mining and compromised water quality.
Also ahead, Chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asiedun Ketia, again defends his decision to embark on a thank you tour despite pressure on him to suspend it. It's News Central here on TV3. I'm Kemini Amanor.
And I am Mawuena Egbeta. The bulletin starts right now. This afternoon, the minority in Parliament are kicking against assertions they are responsible for the high numbers of unemployed graduate nurses in the country. Ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament, Dr. Nana Ayuefree, has criticized the government for failing to pay some health workers for 10 months. He says the past government secured financial clearance for 15,200 nurses and midwives last year, with about 8,000 of them who were employed. The latest follows a news conference by the Health Minister, Kwabena Minta-Kanda, yesterday, who says the current administration is working to right the wrongs by the previous administration in the health sector.
In January 2025, when we took office as government, in the Ministry of Health, we inherited a situation where about 13,500 nurses and midwives had been recruited and posted without financial clearance, without any provision to pay them. In fact, the financial clearance with respect to the 13,500 nurses and midwives expired on 31st December 2024. What it means is that when a financial clearance is issued, you must necessarily migrate the health professionals onto the payroll before the expiration of the clearance or the financial clearance. So, if it expires, what it means is that there's no financial provision for these people. This is a fact. And so we had two options as government: whether to let all the 13,500 nurses and midwives go home. And the second option was to allow them to continue to work whilst we look at how we can get money to pay them.
Well, that's the health minister, and comments like these is what is drawing the criticism from the minority this afternoon. Let's get into Parliament right now, where my colleague Christian Yali has a bit more in terms of the details for us this afternoon. Christian, what more have the minority been saying in reacting to the commentary yesterday by the minister?
Exactly. So this is a financial clearance which is dated 17th July 2024. And on it, it says that financial clearance is granted to about 15,200 nurses and midwives. Now, when you read it carefully, it even mentions that the effective date of this appointment should not be earlier than 1st September 2024. The minority is saying that, see, the past government was able to secure this clearance for this amount or number of health professionals. Now, the understanding we have is that about 8,000 of them were employed by Christian health associations as well as even some of the teaching hospitals. So you have about the rest who are more or less with Ghana Health Service, whose appointment delayed or whose payment have delayed for about 10 months. The minority's ranking member on the health committee, Dr. Nana Ayuefree, makes a case that up to now there are funds available to be paid to these health professionals, and it is a bit disingenuous on the part of the health minister to make a case that they now need a clearance or an approval from cabinet to be able to pay these health officials. Now, the other factor of it is that this clearance, which was secured last year for these health professionals, expires or expired on 31st December 2024 and couldn't be used thereafter. But the case of the minority members is that government on any day is or should be able to extend such clearance to the following year, which means that they should be able to factor it or make provisions as such in the ensuing year's budget. And so if government of the day fail to do so, they shouldn't make it seem as though the past government could not secure a clearance for these health professionals. We can take a listen to what Dr. Nana Uefriye has been saying.
This financial clearance, which was issued on the 17th of July, took effect immediately. The agencies that recruited, and this was the 7,000 or the 8,000 government keeps saying that were cleared financially. They are all part of this 15,000. Now what happened was this. The Ministry of Health, which is responsible for the teaching hospitals, recruited theirs. So on the same financial clearance, last year, they recruited theirs and they were paid 5 months. So all those who the ministry recruited with regards to this clearance had their 5 months salaries from July, August, September, October. Now the difference is that the ministry was able to do its validations and they did it spot on. However, they also did that recruitment before 31st December. Now, this clearance expired on the 31st December in item 7. As you read, it said, please note that this financial clearance expires on the 31st of December 2024 and cannot be used thereafter. Now, in normal public administration and civil service of this country, financial clearances expire. Even under this government, they will have financial clearances expire and they will go for extension. It is a normal practice in the system. It's no news, but you could only use it when you go for an extension for the Ministry of Finance. So why didn't government see the need? Money was allocated for 15,000. You came in 7,000 or almost 8,000 had started. The remaining were employed by Ghana Health Service, albeit they were late, but they were at post. You didn't see the need to tell the institutions to reject them. Neither did the institutions write to you to reject them. What it meant was that they filled the gap and they were needed to be at post. So the institution used them. Except for political reasons. They did not extend this for political reasons. And then 10 months down, they faced an embarrassment where the students or the staff went on a public agitation, demonstration, to draw your mind to this clearance and the need for extension. Embarrassing enough, you are saying that you've taken it to cabinet for an approval. What sort of cabinet do you have to take for an approval when you have a clearance already?
And that's how you were free. Christian, let me just come back to you on whether or not they are making some demands of the government in addressing this particular challenge.
The minority is saying that, see, they have been very reasonable over the period and seen to it that they would extend a goodwill, not to even the government of the day, but to the ordinary Ghanaian citizens who need healthcare facilities or services for their daily living. But they just realized that government is, in a way, making the whole situation political, for which reason they have seen the need to respond to this. They are saying that simply there are funds available, government has no excuse, the health minister should stop throwing dust in the eyes of people and pay the health workers now. That is a simple demand that they are making.
You're throwing dust in the eyes of the people. So government created a mess. And they've seen 10 months, it's caught up on them and they are fixing it. And that's when you take political decisions. You see, the minority, we are a reasonable minority. If you remember when the nurses went on strike, the leader is here. On the guidance of the leadership and the committee, we resolved that it was too early for us to support a cause, and maybe they may have to be reasonable to government. And that was because government is continuum. Regardless of the clearance they had, all this payment dates was approved in the last year. Understand government a bit and then be merciful. Go back to work and negotiate with government. The minority was so reasonable. And then the nurses saw the need to go back to work. So this is a reasonable minority. We've given you the opportunity as a government to find your feet in the first year as much as you can. And we have become so not too political with health. But you are dragging us in. It's the same thing that you did. You were so political. In 2020, the nurses went on strike for 3 weeks. Then in opposition, the NDC supported them that you should stay in opposition. They should learn from the minority. Our position in this year has been that it is too early. So we extended the goodwill, not because of the NDC government, but for the Ghanaian, whose life will be lost, and when the nurses are fixed, at the end of the day, what happened to the life that is lost? That's how reasonable that we have been. We cannot continue to be reasonable when you take the youth of this country for granted. The youth of this country matter, Ghanaians matter, nurses matter, and midwives also matter. It appears that being reasonable to them over the period, they are taking them for granted. And that is why we are trying to come in to get the public to know that there is no need for cabinet to approve anything again. There's no need. This is a clearance. Government should come and tell us that there was no clearance. There was, it expired. And they should tell us if indeed in public administration there has not been clearance which had expired and has been extended. It's no news in this country or any other country. It's no news. They lacked their will and they were too political in their decision. So government created a mess. They have to fix it and fix it now. They should pay them now because the money was allocated. They should pay them now.
Asana Ayuefri, Dr. Nana Ayuefri, he's the chair of, is the ranking on the Health Committee of Parliament. He used to be the chair of the Health Committee, mixing it up a bit because of changing positions in terms of majority, minority. But Christian is my colleague in Parliament as well. He brought us details as to the development. But let's do politics now, Kemini.
Absolutely. Now, the chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, has once again defended his decision to embark on a thank you tour across the country. Asiedu Nketia, who has begun a 4-day tour of the Volta region, told party members and chiefs in Hohoi that the move is grounded in tradition and intended to ensure that he and the NDC keep to the promises made to Ghanaians during the election period. Correspondent Faisal Abdul-Idris is part of the NDC chairman's tour of the region. He joins us with a bit more from there. Faisal, good afternoon to you. What else can you report about this thank you tour?
Good afternoon, Kemini. So the NDC national chairman began his tour of the Volta region this morning from Hohoi, and key issues he's been talking about. First and foremost, he justified why he's embarking on the tour, noting that it is grounded in tradition and over across the country to promise the good people and also beg them for their vote. And after the vote,
ourselves to insult each other and so on. It's a contest of ideas. And this time around, our ideas have won. I am here because when I decided to embark on this thank you tour, there were so many interpretations. Why should I go around to thank people after all? Because people think that it has never happened. I said that the fact that no chairman had embarked on thank you tour doesn't mean that no chairman will ever embark on the thank you tour. What we have been used to is for politicians to promise and never deliver. So on all my campaign talks, and it was clear to all of you that I led a completely separate campaign from that of His Excellency the President. And wherever I I went, including here, I promised that if we are given the nod, I will come back and thank you. I don't want to be the national chairman who will be known in history as ungrateful national chairman. I want to continue my tradition of delivering all my promises. So what I cannot deliver, I don't promise. What I promise, I want to assure you that my word is my bond. So those who disagree with me, they can continue with their disagreement. I will continue honoring my promises. And that is why I am here. And it seems very well with our tradition that when you go and beg somebody to give you something, and you are given what you request for, the next thing is to go and thank. And that is why I have come and thank everybody. Besides the thanks, I want to remind you that all the promises we made together, we work at those promises together with the best of our abilities to ensure that next time when we come to stand here, we will stand chest out, knowing that we have not deceived the people of Mawuena constituency for their votes.
Johnson Asiedun Ketia is chairman of the NDC, speaking in the Volta region, which is where we are staying. Faisal now joining us over the telephone. Faisal, now we also know that the chairman of the NDC spoke against illegal mining. Talk to us about the things that he said.
Yeah, so the NDC chairman mentioned that a lot has already been done. A lot is being done currently on the issue of Galamsey and also on the issue of Ora. What he's saying is that these things that are being done currently are not things that will give you results, in a short time. These things have timelines, and that Ghanaians should remain patient and be of trust.
Well, it would appear we lost Faisal again over the telephone, but Faisal is traveling with the chairman of the NDC, who's currently in the Volta region.
He hopes that in the coming days, the Ghanaian public will soon begin to feel the results as far as the actions the government is taking. On the issue of oral, he's hoping that with time, they'll be able to recover a lot and be put to good use. He's been telling the people that, of course, a lot is being done in terms of prosecutions, and so definitely results will be coming in the coming days.
I see. Faisal, what else are we expecting him to do while in the Volta region?
Well, he's here to remind the people of the Volta region, and particularly party folks, of the fact that now the party they have wanted in government is in government. They still need their support. They would commit to developing the region. He's been touching on a number of issues, including the UHAS campus project, which had stalled for many years. Now work has resumed. He talked about the Eastern Corridor Road, which is of paramount importance to the people of the region. But most importantly, he's telling the party here in the region that they must remain united on the issues of employment, issues of appointment, which he says is already creating some form of disunity within the party. He's asking them to rally behind the government and to give the support that the John Mahama administration needs so that they will be able to deliver on their mandate. He's moved already to the Bando constituency. Today he will be in North Dine, he will be in Afajato South, and of course in the whole West constituency, and then end his tour of the region in the Angolo Keta areas on Friday.
Faisal, we'll end it now. Thank you so much for talking to us. Faisal Abdul-Idrisu is with Asiedun Ketia's thank you tour in the Volta region.
Now, President John Dramani Mahama has revealed that Ghana and China are set to conclude on a zero-tariff agreement by end of this month. China has said that the expansion of its zero-tariff policy to cover all 53 African countries, including Ghana, is set to maintain diplomatic ties to boost Africa's economy and offer the continent a benchmark to seek equal or better terms from other trading partners. Speaking at a presidential investment forum in Beijing, China, President Mahama announced that both nations have reached an agreement towards achieving that cause.
2020 and 2024, China's exports to Ghana rose by nearly 46%, while Ghana's exports to China increased by over 11%. China's decision to grant zero tariff access to Ghanaian and African products signals the confidence in our partnership. It opens vast new markets for Ghanaian exporters, agro-processors, and manufacturers. And I'm happy to inform you that we reached agreement in principle, and we have targeted the end of October to be able to sign off on the zero tariff principle. I wish to commend the government of China for this act of solidarity. We are all aware that the multilateral rules-based trading system is being upended by unilateral slapping of tariffs on different countries. This is the time for us to solidarize and to come together, and this initiative by China is very timely.
I'll stay on the president because he also says an interministerial committee has been set up or is to be inaugurated to conduct feasibility studies ahead of the establishment of a green digital city in the country. He estimates the project to be completed in phases within 20 years. Speaking at the same event, the president indicated that the first phase will begin before 2029.
Transformation, we plan to establish a new green city that will straddle the three regions of Greater Accra, Volta, and Eastern regions. I'll soon inaugurate an interministerial committee to guide the design and feasibility study of this new city. I'll also appoint a transaction advisor to lead the process for the implementation of this all-important project. This will be a green digital city and will display cutting-edge technology in urban design, planning, and innovation. This city is planned to be a 20-year project executed in 4 phases, and my expectation is that the first phase will commence before my tenure of office runs out. I invite our Chinese colleagues to be a part of this all-important project.
Now, residents of Somanya and Odumase are calling the ministry to urgently fix the Somanya-Odumase-Bong Road, which has deteriorated severely, making travel along the stretch difficult. According to the frustrated residents, a contractor began rehabilitation work just months before the last general elections, but abandoned the project shortly after the December polls. Since then, no progress has been made, and the road has continued to worsen, affecting daily commuters, transport of goods, and access to essential services. Let's connect now with our Eastern Region correspondent, Yvonne Nikwe, who's with the demonstrators at this time. Yvonne, what else can you tell us about this road and the demonstration today?
Well, the demonstration ended a while ago. Presently, I'm the Lower Manya municipality, where the demonstrators petitioned the municipal chief executive about their concerns on the road here from Somanya, Odumase, Agomenya, and by extension, Akoshe. And here is why this road is critical for them. There are 2 health facilities on the stretch, and so if any referral is to be made, it's supposed to be to the Eastern Regional Hospital, and people will have to move from here. If the road is still in this stretch, it means that people cannot move as quickly as possible, and so health people will be in trouble. Patients will not reach early. Again, this particular area is quite a large number of farmers on the stretch passing their produce from Oregon and around this particular area. Again, if the road is not fixed, it means that they will not be able to catch their produce, and then those foods will go bad. And so demonstrators are giving the road ministry a 60-day timeline to fix it, just because they believe that both the actual NPP and the current NDC has shortened them. Why is shorting? They believe that months into the elections, they saw contractors on the road. But right after the results were declared, they didn't see anybody again. But early on, the Eastern Regional Minister, Rita Awase, had met them, promising them that first week of October, the road will be fixed. But we're in the middle of October, and they haven't seen any contractor. But yesterday in the evening, the drip machines came back onto the road. They believe that this is not a good deal for them, and they are insisting that within the 60 days, if the road is not fixed, we'll be back on the road to demand what is right for them.
Very well, Yvonne, let's take a listen to some of the residents you spoke to earlier.
No, it's not rather fair to us, because we have been talking about this road, not this year alone, last year, past previous years, and then they assure us that the road will be fixed. And then after the election, nothing is done, fake promises. And then a day before the demonstration, we see machines that are coming on the road. It's not fair. It's not fair to Kobo land. It's not fair to the people over here. What we are saying is that they should fix the road. That is all we are asking for. Shops are closed. Businesses are shutting down. Workers are being laid off because shops are closed. Businesses are not running. Even first week in October, because we've already fixed a date for July to demonstrate for this road. But we've been rest assured that first week in October, the road will be fixed. We are in almost the second to third week. Nothing is going on. We are suffering. Okay, we are suffering. We can't open our shops. We can't cook at the road. See, when you want to buy food, the person will either tell you to come home to come and buy, because when they cook at home, they don't bring it there. They can't sell at the roadside. We are suffering. For me, I can't open my shop. If you open, who is coming to buy in this dust? We can't even transport ourselves to go to places. We are suffering. I think we are laughing, playing with it, but it is not a joke.
Well, Yvonne, has there been any response from the quarters of the minister since the demonstration today?
Well, the regional minister was not at the Lower Manya Probo municipality, but the MPs here did receive the petition on behalf of the minister and by extension, the road ministry. Largely, he says that he's going to forward the petition from the youth group here and the residents to them so that they do hereby take the road. We're just hoping that in a few days coming, the drip machines we are seeing on the road will not vanish again, but still be on the store.
Very well, Yvonne, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for talking to us. Yvonne Nikwe is our Eastern Region correspondent. You're watching News Central. We'll take our very first break. When we come back, we'll bring you some more stories. Don't go away.
And you're back here on News Central. We're going around the regions and bring you stories from there. And we're starting off at Kwenyako, the headworks there, because that headwork is resumed operations months after being shut down due to pollution from illegal mining that compromised water quality and disrupted supply to beneficiary districts. During a visit to the facility, the Central Regional Minister, Ekopeni Eduamwa-Oche, noted that interventions such as surface pumping have significantly improved the quality of water produced. He added that additional measures are being implemented to ensure long-term sustainable water production at the headworks. Thomas Khan is joined officials from the Regional Coordinating Council to visit the facility and see for themselves really whether or not it is back working. Thomas is joined us via the phone lines. Let's get a bit more details. Thomas, try and help us understand before now, this report that it's resumed treatment of water, what the situation was before today.
If you would recall, this facility had to come to a total shut because of illegal mining activities. As at yesterday, the facility had resumed producing and treating water for supply. And then if you would recall, because of what happened, because of the extent of turbidity of the water, it was highly polluted to the extent that it was unable to produce water for residents who rely on this facility. So yesterday we were there to see for ourselves, and according to the engineers and then the regional minister, a lot of intervention had gone into it, and now thankfully they've resumed operations and they are able to supply water to some homes around the enclave, those who heavily rely on this facility. Mawuena.
Right, and we know that when we talk of turbidity, we've come to now understand as well that outside of whether or not the water is clear enough, there's a concern as well as to the presence of heavy metals. Did that come up at all in the conversations for going forward water treatment for homes within the central region and the districts which receive water supply from Kwenyako?
Yeah, so what we were told was that the RESEC, that is the Regional Security Council, had done a lot of extensive work. And then according to the regional minister, they've even made some arrests of some of these illegal miners around the Upper Danger, and then the Asin area. And these were people who were doing activities which also had serious effects on this facility. And they feel that all these interventions that have been put in place also contributed to the low turbidity now, because before the shutdown, the turbidity levels were really high, reading over 9,000, but now it's gone low. And then again, because of the pumps that they have introduced and in drawing the water. So now at the moment, the water is a bit cleaner and clearer than before, and they are hoping that this trend will continue so that they can supply water to the affected communities.
Right. Thomas, you spoke to the regional minister as well. Let's take a listen to exactly what it is that he had to tell you.
We came here as a follow-up to our earlier, visit that we made, and it's about the treatment plant that had to shut down. That was so because at the time the turbidity level was almost 95,000. Meanwhile, they operate with the turbidity level of 2,500. And so we had no option but to shut the plant down for, better, arrangement to be made in order to ensure that we have potable water for the general public. Fortunately, they have gone through some intervention, one of which is now they've been able to install another pump at the surface level. Their original pump goes deep about 6 meters, and now they are installing about 2 of them at 2 meters so that the water can be drawn from the surface level, who then will not be affected by the mud at the lowest level. And so that is what has given us the strength to produce water to the general public.
The Central Regional Minister earlier, my colleague Thomas Khan, joined us as well.
Now, for many schools and clinics in Ghana, erratic power supply doesn't just mean darkness. It means disrupted lessons and compromised healthcare. But to ensure that learning and healing are no longer at the mercy of power outages, some select schools and health facilities within the Kwadaso municipality are now being powered by the sun as part of the municipal climate mitigation and adaptation program supported by German development partners. More about this project, Ibrahim Abubakar is our correspondent on this beat. Ibrahim, what was the power situation in these schools and facilities really before now, and how could this change their situation?
Well, for almost all these beneficiary institutions, power has not been quite stable for some time now. Hence this project. And when you look at the climate action project spearheaded by the Kwadaso Assembly and the German partners, it is aimed at promoting the use of renewable energy. And the goal is basically even in 2 folds. 1, to fight climate change, and 2, to ensure that critical services such as provision of education and healthcare facility never go dark. So for students who especially depend on digital tools and science labs that need constant power, this they believe is a game changer. And also for the health centers too, they are saying that constant supply means uninterrupted healthcare delivery. And for now, this has come as a huge relief for the beneficiary institutions, and they are hopeful that going forward, this intervention will ensure they deliver and deliver well. Let's listen to what the project coordinators and also the MCE has been sharing with us with regards to how impactful these interventions will be to the beneficiary institutions.
We realized that Ghana, we can harvest the sun. We have a lot of sun, so we decided why don't we harvest the sun and use it for energy other than depending on the national grid. And in doing so, we realized that there are key areas in Ghana, public institutions that are very important. One of them is the health centers, and the other one is schools. In Yasantua, here we are. You can imagine they have over 3,000 children. When the light goes off, how are they going to do preps? So this is there to mitigate their systems so that when the light goes off, they can. But then what we have done, we have taken them off from national grid completely. So they need not to pay electricity bill.
We have 24 schools for now, and then 3 health centers are also enjoying them. Sometimes back, when you go to Apachapa Hospital, whenever there is no light, you see them using phones for the patients. But for now, whenever there is no light, you can get this solar system. We are making sure that we will expand it to the other institutions.
We've seen what chance, what possibilities the solar systems for the school education, for the education of the kids is given, and we are very proud to be part of this project.
Well, Ibrahim, thank you so much for the report. And Ibrahim Abubakar, Shanti Region correspondent.
We'll stay on matters relating to energy, but in the regions, because the Parliamentary Select Committee on Energy has reiterated its commitment to supporting renewable energy expansion following a working visit to the Bui Power Authority in the Bono region. The familiarization tour was aimed at gaining first-hand insight into the BPA's operations, ongoing projects and challenges, with a view to enhancing parliamentary support for the authority's clean energy agenda. Claude Kumie-Bisa has more.
Committee members toured key installations including the 404 megawatt hydroelectric plant, the 100 megawatt solar farm, and the innovative 5 megawatt floating solar project on the Bui Reservoir, where expansion works are currently underway. Acting Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Bui Power Authority, Samuel Nimuakubuatin, highlighted the authority's vision to deepen its renewable energy portfolio. He noted that with adequate support, BPA could become a national hub for clean energy expertise and innovation.
This is not where we want to end. We want to do more. By the end of the next year, we want to have 250 megawatts operational in the enclave. On top of that, we want to also develop about 7 strategic sites in the northern part where soil air radiation is very high. And each of these lands, we can get not less than 150 megawatts from this land. If government is able to give us majority of the 840 million that ECU owes us, we can use that money to develop all these solar projects in the north and then make Ghana's energy more robust.
Acting Chairman of the Energy Committee and Member of Parliament for Ilokrobo, Albert Nyankute, commended BPA's proactive measures to protect the dam's catchment area from illegal mining activities. He advocated for the establishment of a dedicated budget line to sustain these efforts and urged government to provide the necessary financial and policy support to solidify BPA's role as a leader in solar energy.
They've done a great job. And I think that what we are going to do is recommend that any support that be required in the energy sector should be given to BUI to up its game in the solar energy system. We should be a place of learning, a place that we can impact knowledge to other energy providers who are interested in the solar energy sector.
Banda MP and committee member Ahmed Ibrahim called for strategic collaboration between BPA and academic institutions to research and harness Ghana's vast renewable energy potential.
Bui Power must have some collaboration with University for Energy and Natural Resources so that we'll be able to harness our hydro resource, harness our mountainous resource, harness our forest resource, and harness our solar sun resource. So we should not allow Bui Power Authority to be neutralized. We must protect them jealously to make sure that they are able to occupy the strategic energy position that they are occupying.
However, ranking member of the committee, Collins Adumaku Mensah, expressed disappointment over delays in compensation for affected landowners in Banda, a contrast to what he described as smoother processes observed in Yendi.
It's been 20 years. Chief Executive announced that the solar project at Yendi, the affected areas have received their compensation. The people of Banda also deserve their payments. These are lands belonging to individuals where they have their livelihoods.
Claude Kumi Ebisa, TV3 News, Bui.
Now, Education Minister Haruna Idrisu has reiterated government's commitment to expanding STEM infrastructure in the country. He emphasized that the launch of the Basic Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics program for basic school teachers forms part of the government's research agenda and aims at revolutionizing science, technology, engineering and mathematics for teachers at the basic school level. The minister made these remarks when he presented new BSTEM equipment to enhance science and technology education in 86 schools across the northern region. We'll connect now with our northern region correspondent, Christopher Amwako, who's joining us from there on the back of the story. Now, Christopher, quickly talk to us, this BSTEM and, the launch of the program, how important is it to the young people in the area?
Yes, already you know that the gap between the north and the south when it comes to education in itself is very huge. And so, according to the education minister, the BSTEM program is coming to, as it were, deal with this gap, say that rural communities that have been left behind over the period will also use this opportunity to catch up with happenings around the country. One issue he's been talking about is the availability of teaching and learning materials. And once these are available, those in the hinterland will also have the opportunity to be able to catch up. He's also been talking about the fact that teachers have to go through some trainings and refresher courses to be able to keep these children up to date information when it comes to STEM. This been saying that STEM education in the country has become the future of this country as well as TVET. And so attention must be drawn to that angle. It's also been promising that a STEM senior high school will be constructed in the northern region, say that the people within the northern region will also have a benefit of it. Already we have one in the northeast region around Wulugu and Tassinkwe area where there is a STEM senior high school. So constructing another one in the northern region will help boost STEM education in this part of the country. Let's take a listen to what he's been saying.
Because the future is about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education, subject to the availability of resources. I intend to build a STEM center to serve northern Ghana in this area, around where we have the National Identification Authority. We will get a dedicated STEM center.
Well, Christopher, how will the program address the inadequacy of teachers or teaching staff in the north?
Yes, so he's saying that government is committed to this particular program. It was launched some 2 months ago, and so he is saying that more resources will be committed so that teachers will be well motivated to be able to undertake this program for its success. Already, we know that when it comes to teacher motivation and resource availability for teaching and learning, it's not looking too good. But he's been giving that assurances that the John Mahama-led government is committed to STEM education, and so they are going to commit more resources into it.
Thank you so much for talking to us. Christopher Amwako is our Northern Region correspondent, bringing us that story about the BSTEM program that has been launched in 86 schools in the Northern Region. Now we'll bring you some other stories now. The Bono East region has embraced a crucial public health initiative with local health authorities targeting over 8,000 adolescent girls for vaccination against the human papillomavirus, HPV, as part of a nationwide campaign to eliminate cervical cancer.
Rollout, which focuses on girls aged 9 to 14, is being executed through a decades-long and trusted expanded program on immunization, providing a vital layer of protection against a disease that remains a leading cause of death among young ladies. But health officials are battling deep-seated community concerns and misinformation, particularly in very remote areas of the region. Despite Ghana's 47-year track record of safe vaccine delivery, some parents and community members have voiced fears, mostly centered on the vaccine's alleged impact on fertility. In response, the Bono East Regional Health Director emphasized the vaccine's safety and efficacy, which are backed by decades of global evidence.
We understand that some parents and community members may have concerns or questions. Let me assure you that the HPV vaccine is safe and effective. The vaccine does not affect fertility, not at all, and has no negative effects on growth or development. Rather, it provides, so let's take note of this, lifelong protection against viruses that cause more than 70% of cervical cancers.
The HPV vaccine is endorsed by the World Health Organization and has been safely administered for more than 15 years in over 125 countries. Locally, the Food and Drugs Authority of Ghana has given its final approval for the rollout.
Parents and guardians should support their daughters to take the vaccine with confidence, knowing that this simple act today can prevent serious illness and even save lives in future.
The free nature of the vaccine is key to achieving high coverage in the region, removing financial barriers that previously made the life-saving injection inaccessible to most vulnerable families. To meet the regional target of over 8,000 girls, health teams are utilizing a coordinated strategy involving schools, community health facilities, and mobile outreach teams, ensuring no eligible girl is left behind. The Bono East campaign is a localized effort toward the national ambition to eliminate cervical cancer as a public health problem, aligning with the World Health Organization's global targets of vaccinating 90% of eligible girls. The successful vaccination of thousands of girls across the region is a critical step towards realizing that goal, promising a healthier, longer future for the young women of the region. Belinda Tete, TV3 News, Bono East Region.
Now, health authorities in the Upper West region have begun the vaccination of 55,703 girls between the ages of 9 and 14 against HPV as part of the country's nationwide campaign to eliminate cervical cancer among women in the country. Here's a report by our regional correspondent, Ibrahim Wangara.
Cervical cancer poses a significant health challenge in Ghana, affecting the lives of thousands every year. Annually, approximately 3,000 women are diagnosed, and tragically, about 1,700 do not survive. In the Upper West region alone, 22 women received cervical cancer diagnosis in 2024, with a startling 70% of these cases being identified at the advanced stages. To combat this pressing issue, the Ghana Health Service in the region has deployed 3,901 dedicated officers from the Ghana Health and Education Services to ensure that every eligible girl in school, at home, or in remote communities is vaccinated. The Regional Health Director, Dr. Josephat Nuzak, emphasizes that HPV vaccine is safe and provides vital protection against cervical cancer.
Up next is By the Numbers.
Let's start off with a question. Is the building you're in safe? Across Ghana, that question is becoming more urgent every year. From 2010 to the mid-2023, the country recorded 39 major building collapses. 70 people lost their lives and more than 300 others were injured. This year, the Central Region has seen some of the worst cases. So far in 2025, there have been more than 8 collapses, leaving at least 5 people dead and several others injured. In that part of the country, the regional capital to be specific, a recent survey found that 8 out of every 10 buildings is in need of maintenance. Many of them old, cracked, and slowly giving way after years of neglect. Experts say the causes are easy to see. But what exactly is the situation? Let's get to the dashboard right now and try and paint a picture for you as to what the numbers have been like. And so since 2010 to 2023, 55 plus collapses as we've witnessed in different parts of the country, some in Accra and in other areas in the Central Region, as we've been talking to you about. But in the Central Region in particular, most recently, there's been 8 plus building collapses, which has cost 4 lives already and several others injured. And so it begins to bring about quite a number of questions in terms of what is being done in terms of inspection and the likes as to what really the situation is. But in zeroing in on what the numbers say in terms of the status of buildings in the Central Region, this is what the latest survey in that part of the country, the Central Region to be specific, says that 8 out of 10 of such buildings, particularly in the capital Cape Coast, are in need of serious maintenance because they can't give way at any time at all to collapse. And that will begin to have experts in that part of the country, authorities in the Regional Security Council, Regional Coordinating Council, amongst others, beginning to want to go down and check for themselves what the status is in the capital. But what are the causes, as we've come to understand? Substandard materials being used in the construction of these buildings, unauthorized modifications, somebody builds or has does foundation work for a one story and decides to go up to 3 stories amongst others. These and more are beginning to come up as part of the reasons why we're seeing the collapses. Then there is design and structural flaws as well, poor supervision, and then poor maintenance. But the law takes care of this. The building code, amongst many other things, suggests that there should be, at every district assembly, a licensed engineer or architect. But what's the status of this provision of the building code in all of our 261 districts? It will surprise you to know that out of the 261 districts we have, only 10 have these architects. The remaining, they do not have. And that possibly could explain why this is becoming a norm, becoming a phenomenon in the central region, but as well springing up in parts of the country. That's it for you by way of By the Numbers.
Well, some news just coming in. The Medina District Court has discharged the lead suspect in the alleged murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Hussein Swale. Daniel Osu-Kranting, an investigative journalist, had been charged with abetment of crime and murder in connection with the death of Swale. Prosecution alleged that he led 2 other culprits currently alleged to the home of Swale, where he was eventually shot and killed by unknown assailants. More on the story in subsequent broadcasts. We also know that while he's pleaded not guilty, he was on a 50,000 CD bail. Now the court has discharged him. More of that story on 3news.com.
It's interesting because there's been quite a lot of promise made as to closure on Ahmed Swale. And now we're learning the lead suspect has just been discharged. It will be interesting to know if he was one of the individuals who was picked up somewhere last year about having had something to do with his pictures and the lights.
Absolutely. It's the same Daniel Kranting
same individual.
we're talking about. Remember, they said he was out of the country for a little while. When he returned, then he was picked up.
This brings us to ground zero again in terms of bringing finality to that. Something certainly we'll have to have a conversation about. But that's our bulletin for you this afternoon. We're back again tomorrow. I am Mawuena Egbeta.
And I am Kemini Amanor. Next is the afternoon show. Bye-bye.